I'm Scott Moore, and I'm a performance engineer. I help to make software and applications faster, better, more resilient. Join me as we take the performance tour.
Hello, Scott Moore here. You're probably wondering, hey Scott, why you got your fishing hat on? Why you got your fishing pole? Why you got your fishing worms? Because guess what? We're going fishing. We're going fishing for database problems today. Come along with me. Hey Lily. Hey, we're not doing too well, are we, girl? Well, such is the game when you're fishing. Maybe we're fishing for the wrong things. You're not going to catch any database problems out here. But I wanted to introduce you to a new tool that I've been using to find database problems called DBMarlin. And I really love this product, and I want to show you how you can find database problems with it.
Okay, let's start with a couple of tests that we ran overnight on a particular application using Neotis Neoload. You're going to see a lot of graphs here, but I'm going to go through them very quickly. The only context you need to know is this is a Microsoft .NET application. It's running on AWS Cloud, and that means we have these cloud instances, servers running. They are running Microsoft stuff, so that means IIS for the web server and SQL Server for the database server. And we do know from running these tests previously that this is a very database intensive application. There's several things that happen where we're crunching a bunch of data and we need to know what's going on with that. This particular graph is a transaction graph. For most of the test, it is breaching a 5-second SLA, which is why you see all this colored area here. Where we're breaching anything where you see colored, that's a breach of our service level agreement that's defined. But at this point, all we really know is that transaction time is high. Why is it high? So from there, since we know we've got an issue with SQL Server, let's look at some basic performance metrics from SQL Server. Now these are Windows metrics, and because it's Microsoft, we are looking at Windows Performance Monitor metrics, or PerfMon for short. And some of the key things we might want to look at are, how hard is the CPU being worked? How utilized is the processor? And we can see it's pretty up there close to our 90% utilization threshold. That's another service level agreement that we've defined. And we probably did breach it a couple of times if we were looking at more detailed granularity. We also want to look at the queuing of what's going on in that CPU, how much stuff was being held in that CPU, and if it starts getting above 2 per CPU or per core, then we know we've got a problem. We're not really queuing, we are kind of hitting it on the edge of any comfort level, and I really don't like the idea of a SQL Server running this hard. But now here is where if you're monitoring your servers, your infrastructure in the cloud, and you're using a cloud vendor like AWS CloudWatch, for example, this is as far as you're going to be able to get. Now we need to actually see something within SQL Server itself, and this is where we still need to be monitoring PerfMon even though we're in the cloud, because we can start seeing some key metrics such as the user connections and latch time, any locks that might be happening. We want to see the cache, the buffer hit cache ratio, and things like that. So these are things that the cloud vendors will not show you natively.
So let's take SQL Server for example. In Microsoft SQL Server there is a configuration setting for user connections of 100. That's the total number of user connections that can be at the pool all at one time. Just like this, there's always people getting in the pool, always people getting out. They stay in different times, but once more people get in and stay in, and once you've reached the maximum capacity, you can't reach any more. And it's in those times that your transaction times from an end user experience are gonna go through the roof, and you're gonna see that knee in the curve. So, you people who are in the pool for like 4 hours or more and you're not going to the bathroom, I got a problem with that. But that's a different story. We gotta fix this problem with DBMarlin.
See that we are actually hitting 100, and we ramp up to about 20 minutes, and even after we ramp up, we're still going higher in this pool of users. There are actually other things hitting this that are causing us to breach that 100 number. It's only really 100 from one major source here. So we know because we reached into the 110 level, there are other things hitting this database. We probably want to know what that is. Is that a backup job that happens to be kicking off while we're running this test, or what is that? Either way, we are hitting some kind of a threshold limit here. And when you've got high CPU utilization and you've sort of reached that 100 configuration number, we're going to start seeing transaction times that are much higher. So if we go back here and look at the time frame for this particular timing, it's about at that point where we're done ramping up where we start seeing the highest timings. And as we stay in that 100 range, we are above our threshold for this whole time. And as we begin to ramp down at the end of the test, we start coming down. And that's because the pool is not as full. And we can see that reflected here in user connections as they go down below 100 here. After that 55-minute mark, we start seeing transaction times that are much better right here. Now, that's about as far as I can get with a performance testing tool, whether that's Neoload or anything else. Most do not give you deeper level information, and this is where we have to go fishing and use DBMarlin. And this is why I love DBMarlin so much. And I'm actually using the latest version that has the time comparison reports, which really helps a lot. But just in general, I know this test was run on the DB Stage SQL Server. And I can see where these higher times happen. This was a load test, and this time duration was a load test. There were 2 run over the last 12 hours. And I just love the fact that you can click on show weights and you can see where is the time being spent in the database. This is something that in the past, unless you were a DBA or you were also very familiar with profiling tools like SQL Profiler, then you wouldn't have access to this information. But now we actually can. We can start seeing the batches, statements, the execution plans that take the longest amount of time that are being spent, and we can click on them. We can actually see the detailed SQL that's happening. We can see an insert statement here, and then I can begin to take that statement and work with a DBA to say, look, why is this particular thing taking so long? How much time is being spent? With the newest version of DBMarlin, I can also begin to monitor host utilization of Linux and Windows servers. And this is a Windows-based application, so I can now monitor my Windows host. I haven't got this set up here yet because I'm doing it in Neoload. But if I wasn't running a load test and I needed access to this, I could have this being monitored all the time as these databases were being used for some other reason as well. And maybe this just supports sort of like an APM type thing if I didn't have that in place. So I love that, and I really love this time comparison here. So I know if I choose the right database and I choose a time frame that matches when the test was run, and I know that we ran a test, I'm going to say it's about 8 o'clock, and then we also ran another test about 10:15, and we want a 1 hour time frame, which I could do more than that if I wanted to. I could also compare 2 different database instances here, which is great. And then I'll just generate the report. And it may take a little bit because there's a lot of number crunching, especially when you're hitting a database as hard as we've been hitting this. So right now we have 2 periods here where we're showing a difference in the amount of traffic. We can see this hard wall between them, and then we can see these top statements between them, and they should be pretty similar. And then I can then compare those statements like this insert statement and see where this time is being spent. Now, even though I'm not an expert in everything database, I can at least now get closer to the needle in a haystack, whereas the performance testing tool in general has always been sort of the right haystack to be focused on. Well, we know the haystack here is the database, and being able to get down to this level before I even need to contact the DBA is very, very helpful. And so DBMarlin really comes through with a lot of value very quickly. This is very easy to set up. I can have DBMarlin set up in 10 to 15 minutes at most clients, and have it up and running and get this level of information within an hour. So it provides a lot of quick return value. It's easy to set up. It supports multiple different databases types. So let's say that I have DBMarlin and I am running against SQL Server today, but I also have another project at the company that uses Oracle or MySQL or Postgres. I can get this same kind of information, that at least what's provided from the database, within DBMarlin as well. And I don't have to switch profilers, I don't have to switch tools. It all comes right into here, and it's just wonderful. Now, there is a built-in integration with Instana, and there's probably future integrations that are going to be coming, but even standalone, this product is great, and it's very easy to correlate information from DBMarlin with a product like Neoload. So I'm very happy with this, and it's very easy to fish and find database issues with DBMarlin. I hope that you'll check it out, and if you do, please go to the website. I have a page there because I'm so infatuated with this tool. I have a VIP site that you can go to with red carpet treatment at their site. If you go to the URL that's on your screen right now, tell them that Scott Moore sent you. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope it helps you out with future database issues that you need to fish for.
So if there's one thing that I know about finding and fixing database issues with DBMarlin is it makes you hungry. And you know, I love barbecue, but something I love about as much is sushi. So where I live, we come to Sarasota, Florida, and there's one place in particular we love to come to, and that's the Ichiban Sushi Grill.
And now, it's after we found all the database issues, it's time to eat the fish.